Let me be a mermaid.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Black USA Crypto News. I'm Kamal Hubbard, and I'm here with my guest, Crypto Michelle. How's it going, Michelle?
Hello. Pretty good.
So, I'm excited to have you on as a guest. There's a lot of things that we can talk about. Um, but I think one place I did want to start was with this week's news. There was clearly a lot going on in the news, but in particular, was there any news that piqued your interest or that you thought was interesting this week?
For this week, a lot of things. I think, we see a senator buy more Bitcoin, which I think is really bullish, right? And, with other things, I think, the price of cryptocurrency has gone up. So it's a good market.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the news for me that I saw that was interesting was a couple of pieces actually. The one about Brazil. So
Hmm.
now Brazil is contemplating making Bitcoin into a legal tender, or at least someone, I guess, within their Congress is thinking about that. And Colombia's uh, interested in mining Bitcoin and possibly using it as legal tender as well. So those are all really interesting things. So
Yeah, it's kind of exciting. I think the adoption of, crypto and blockchain has expanded tremendously, right? We also see cities issuing their own tokens, especially in the United States, like what Miami is doing, which is really good news because that means that, the states and the cities are, incorporating cryptocurrency.
right, definitely. I mean, I guess there was another interesting story about the SEC, and they're not looking to ban cryptocurrencies exactly, but there is a possibility that Congress might, or at least the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler, he said that the SEC wouldn't ban crypto, but Congress could.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. But then you just said someone in Congress is buying more Bitcoin. So I don't know. It doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I think it's really being familiar and understanding the industry. I don't think a lot of the lawmakers have. When we were advocating for blockchain in California, it was still the beginning of it, and people are still just learning about what cryptocurrency and blockchain is. So I think the people who are familiar with it are purchasing more because they believe in the ecosystem, and the people who have a fear about cryptocurrency that they're involved with AML or they're all criminals. They might not understand what the blockchain technology is, so they might want to ban crypto because of that. And there's also a two-track system, right? Because you see that people are issuing shares on the blockchain, and then you see the cities are adopting it, and you see that the state and central banks are issuing their own stable coin. So on that kind of level, we see a lot of use cases that are proposed, by entities and by the government. At the same time, there is a talk that they wanted to ban it. So, like how would that work? And has the SEC and other lawmakers or enforcement, agencies really think about, well, what is compliant and what is not?
Exactly. That's the question, and it's a very difficult thing to do because I still feel like a lot of these lawmakers don't know how it works, but they do know that it's, or at least some of them know that it's making money and it's
Mhm.
making them money. So they're going after it, which is interesting. Um, You know what? Something that I should have did before we jumped in is allow you to introduce yourself. I mean, there's so much that I know and don't know about you. So, how about you kind of start from the beginning with a quick introduction and then go into how you got into crypto?
Yeah, sure. So I think the history for me of knowing cryptocurrency and blockchain is, I was actually an attorney at PayPal for 6 years, so I breathe and sleep payments. I would negotiate with other lawyers, with other companies on digital wallet integration and really growing the large merchant services at PayPal so that it is on every website there is. And I worked with our business team on it and grew that. So today, if you go to different website, you can check out with PayPal, right? There's these express checkout buttons. Sometimes you don't even have to sign in. It's really convenient. So I did that and you really saw the digitalization of digital goods. That's what we call them. And in different ways, I must say. So you'll see that there's a period of time where there's different digital goods company wanted to integrate PayPal on their site, and then there's mobile, and then it's like widgets, and then POS, and then when we really think about that, I think Zynga actually outgrew eBay as their number one client or customer, and Zynga was only 2 years old at that time. That was pretty impressive, right? Because people are buying JPEGs and farms and all that at that time. So, so like if you really take that perspective, I do 110% believe in the digitalization of currency. Because that's what it is, right? You're basically buying things through a digital wallet, and the PayPal's vision, I think the original vision is peer-to-peer, where you can be money from one Palm Pilot to another, and so when you really think about the Satoshi white paper, it's really about that I can send money directly to you. um, so what happened is so I left PayPal in 2012, and in 2013 I helped organize a conference for the MIT Stanford Venture Lab. We call it VLab, at Stanford University. um, we have I think Coinbase, Ripple, the Winklevoss brothers, and a reporter from Forbes who had spent 1 month paying for stuff using Bitcoin. And a lot of people show up. I was part of the team that created that conference. And for me, and a lot of my friends were also built it with me, right? And at that time, my attitude is just really, I'm like, of course, I don't want to talk about payments again. Like, during lunchtime, during dinner, all my friends talk about, where the future of money, which is Bitcoin. I actually have some of these articles in Bitcoin magazines from 2013, 2014 that my friend sent me because, you know, it's really, really old, and nobody really understood it, right? And then in about 2015, no, 2014 and 2015, one of my brother's friend, who is also from the payment space, wanted to do a startup that would allow for interoperability. And so I was part of the team. I was one of the co-founder. Two of the co-founders, including my friend, went to Blockchain University in Mountain View at that time. And we're like a total of four. We created something that allows for interoperability between digital wallets and allow for exchanging or converting fiat into cryptocurrency, as well as an alliance. We did file a provisional patent for it during that time that that we worked on, and I'm glad we did that because it shows that we had a official document that were stamped. So I mean, sometimes as a woman, people really don't believe that you do those things, unless you have those documents, and that we did had architecture, for that kind of, system. And then so we worked on that, and during that time, we were raising money, and no one in the US really understood what blockchain was except for China. And I think we were approached by people from China. We met with them. They were looking for blockchain solutions and they found us. However, we really don't know what it's like taking investments from China. So we actually didn't take any money from them. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but we didn't. And I think and so in about two, and then I was working on a lot of AI nonprofit like lovingai.org, Robots Without Border, and a distributed computation where you plug in your phone and those idle powers computation for cancer research, right? Which one of my friend founded. So I was doing a lot of that, and then one of the nonprofit was just like, Michelle, do you think that we could raise money through an ICO? So then I went to the Berkeley blockchain conference, and I met some of the folks from the SEC there, as well as some law firms, but it was really, really new. And like no one really knew the answer, so we didn't. And a lot of companies basically incorporate the company outside the US, but I was advising from a more of a business startup perspective. Like certain companies, and I really believe in the blockchain technology. So that's basically my history with blockchain. I was just, I think I just couldn't get away from payments. Like it's always there. So that's my story, and I've been speaking about blockchain on my radio show at Laptop Radio since 2017, more for the Stanford community, but I didn't start publishing those episodes onto a podcast until like a year or two ago, when I had more time.
Yeah. And I've been a guest on Laptop Radio. I definitely think people should check it out. It's on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts,
It's
and what
everywhere.
are some of the other places where people can find Laptop Radio?
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's on, Amazon. I got invited to Amazon, which I'm really excited about. And then it's on Spotify, it's on Apple. It's on Listen Notes. I think it's like one of the top 5% of the show, which I'm really excited about because I didn't even know that like until someone pointed it out. And I'm very selective about who I interview. Most of the people that I interview were people that I know already, who's been in the industry, who I know are doing, good things. And I try to focus on bleeding edge technology. So not just blockchain and crypto, but also AI fusion, gaming, and also things that help make and build a company and make it successful, right? So we talk about HR and talent acquisition, because I think when you're building a company, you know, you become more grateful of HR because they filter so many people for you. Like when you're working at, like when I was working at PayPal, a lot of people are awesome because of that. Like you just, take it for granted. But when you do startup, you just meet all these people, and you basically need to learn how to filter and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's I think working at a startup is can be very challenging, especially if not everything is in place the way it needs to. But when things
Yeah.
are in place, it's always great, right?
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you. And
So
I
I
wanted
think
to,
something else. Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I just wanted to explain my little avatar.
Okay,
Yeah,
please
so
do.
yeah, I was telling Kamal earlier that I co-founded a nonprofit this year called the Dope Sea, and it has nothing to do with weed or cannabis. I actually don't use any of that. Um, what what is so cool is that we were like I attend on Clubhouse, one of my friend Chad XP's Clubhouse, where he sings. He does a lot of improvising singing for the community. And one day, one of my friend Brent was rapping about the dope sea, and then we were like, oh, it sounds so cool. Let's just use it, as the name for the nonprofit.
Ah,
So So that's why the nonprofit is Adobe C, and we basically, draw NFTs and we raise money that way. And I think 20% goes to uh, a ocean nonprofit.
That's excellent. So, I thought it was a play on OpenSea, the NFT marketplace. So for the longest time, obviously, I was under a misconception in terms of what the Dope Sea was. So why don't you talk about NFTs and explain, maybe for listeners, I guess Kirsten is tuning in and she is here to learn, or she said she's here to learn. So can you explain how NFTs work for someone like her?
Yeah, so NFT it stands for non-fungible token. It's just basically a token on the blockchain, and it is different from Bitcoin or Ethereum because it identifies to a unique trait, right? So it's basically a unique source identifier. It's linked to something unique like art. It could be real estate. It could be IP. And like you can be really creative with it. So in the art world, like there's a different platforms that allows you to upload and mint your artwork so that you can sell them, right? So one of them is OpenSea. Like there's others like Known Origin, and Calumet, Hikanon, and there's for OpenSea they use Ethereum. You can also use Polygon, and for Tessos it's Calumet and Hikanon. And then there's also Near Protocol that has its own token. There's just so many platforms. But for the Dope Sea, for example, we're minting on OpenSea. Instead of 10,000, we're just minting 1,000. So these are just little mermaids or cyber mermaids that I've made. And the whole process of making these, like if you think it's really easy, it's not. I coded the generative art from, that I made to actually put all the different pieces together to make different mermaids that you see. So the mermaid now you see sunflowers background with blue here with blue flower, and the tail and the top, right? So I make 210, like more than that, skin tones, just so that the mermaids could be global. I don't want, like just two different kinds of mermaids, and then make different, tails and different tops and different hair. So if you look at like very famous drops like Bored Ape, they're just different kinds of apes that you can purchase on OpenSea, and it's really community based. So the Dope Sea has a community of people who, has a relationship with the ocean. And they care about the ocean, so which is pretty awesome. And then you can also assign different ownership of IP. For example, for Bored Apes, if you buy it, you belong to the club, and you can make a derivative work from with the ape that you purchase. So that's kind of cool in that kind of way. Or you can just own your IP, or you can assign different traits with it. So there's a lot of flexibility. The thing with NFT is that, like, I think it also could be the way that you handle them could be a security light. If you have a bunch of people that pull money together to buy Bored Apes, and then we sell them, because you're profit sharing, right? So, and I'm not giving legal advice, I'm just saying that I've heard people who've done that, and you wanted to be careful as well, because that could be seen as like organizing a profit sharing.
Right. I think that is going to get more popular, like fractionalized ownership of NFTs, as
Mhm.
NFTs get more popular and more expensive and a little bit more difficult to attain from a price point perspective. And like you said, people um, getting together and, buying more expensive ones, reselling them, and
Yeah,
making more.
yeah.
So, um,
Well,
but yeah,
you have to be careful though, because I think like if you're doing that, you have to be compliant with law, and you have to be careful of you know one of the person in the group taking you're taking all the money because you're playing with one ledger. You have to be really careful. There's a lot of like bad actors, in the community. So and making sure that you talk to your lawyer and making sure that you're compliant.
Absolutely, absolutely. And once again, as usual, this is just for informational purposes only. Not legal advice. Always good to do your own research and
Mhm,
like you said, get your own attorney, get your own tax professional or financial professional, and
mhm.
make sure all these things are feasible and work in your best interest. So um I can't say something like that enough, but since we're speaking on NFTs. Um, where do you see things going? And I know you talked about artificial intelligence, but with mixed reality and NFTs, where do you see the next stages in this going?
Yeah, so I actually advise a bunch of AR, XR, and spatial companies. Some of them in the NFT space. So I'm pretty excited because, like, as an AR artist, augmented reality artist myself, I find these platforms, even though I couldn't get into those, like because they don't like my art. Well, like a lot of like these platforms, like known origin, I probably got rejected like a million times. They correlate, their artists, right? So you have to like they have to like your art to get in. And I have no idea what I like. They didn't like my art, so I couldn't get into those. And then like, but for me, when I look at these 2D platform, it's just so limiting, right? Like I meant on Hikanon because I can put coded generative art on there, because that's the only platform I could do that. And currently I don't put any of the AR work that I've done, in there because there's no platform for that. So I'm kind of excited about the future of NFT. I think it's going to be more advanced. I think it will become more spatial, and that like if I buy a painting, I could actually put it, in my office, or somewhere in physical space. So I'm really excited about the future of creativity and technology combined.
Absolutely. I mean, I also think art is so subjective. So someone saying that they don't like your art, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not really feeling that. I mean, it's to me, it's just like flavor, right? You
Well,
might
that's
not.
like, but then that's the problem, though, right? Is that like all these platforms are curated, even though the whole blockchain decentralization movement is really peer to peer and not having that centralized body judging your art. But like, if I love, thank you, Kirsten. But like, come on, like if I love, like for example, if you meant your book, or your book cover, and if and that's one of the reasons I love OpenSea is that anybody could mint, right?
Right.
With a lot of these, other platform that were funded and more famous because they have a lot of money or people who are very billionaires behind them, they have staff, that basically curate the artists that could be on their platform. And sometimes, if they don't like it, you're barred from it, and so, like there's no like really, and they don't tell you why, right? So, like sometimes when you're people of color or woman, you don't get represented that much, and the likelihood of you being rejected is probably really high, even though you don't want to talk about identity, as one of the reason, right? So I think there's some of that. And and I can't wait, for better platforms, to because the whole movement is to allow access, right? And and in a better way. So I think the future. Oh, yeah, if you go to the dopesea.com, you'll see these mermaids. They're dropping on Sunday, only 1,000 of them. I think just check it out. It's the dopesea.com. And if you go to Linktree/Adobe, you'll see all these mermaids. They're global. And I spent a lot of time making them because I was really into them. They're just different color and tops, and they're so pretty. I literally just don't want to sell them. I just want them all.
Wait,
uh,
is it the Dope C or just Dope C?
Dajosi with THE.
I'll fix that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's you know, we were really excited. And oh, and the second collection we're beginning with the generative art that we made with 1000. The second collection is just mermaids that are created by the community. So we have a community of different artists, and you know, they are going to we're collaborating with them to make mermaids, and you know, and then we're going to make a metaverse with different mermaid art. So I'm super excited. And you know, I so what is you know, how is it going with DeFi for the diaspora?
It's going great. It's going great. I mean, I can't keep up with all of the feedback that is coming in, and it's coming in from, Europe and,
Hmm.
uh, you know, all parts of the United States as well.
Hmm.
I'm actually working on a mission to get the book in front of lawmakers,
Oh,
school
awesome.
officials,
Uh-huh.
and STEM focused nonprofits. Really, I'm focusing on the Western Hemisphere, kind of starting in North and Central America. So, once again, lawmakers who are that serve Black communities,
Hmm.
schools that have predominantly Black student base and student populations, and then once again, Black focused STEM nonprofits. So,
Hmm.
every 100 books that I sell, I'm trying to get 25 books into the hands of, a lawmaker or, someone who can, either create policy or send resources to schools. And then
Hmm.
once again, schools who would like to uh, incorporate any of these concepts into their curriculum. And,
Hmm.
I'm happy to assist that or with them on that. And actually, the first nonprofit to step up has been Urban Ed Academy in San Francisco. So, super happy to work with them. They've had the largest bulk book buy so far. And, I couldn't actually be happier that they were the first nonprofit that I actually work with. And they have a Saturday girls and boys school to help with middle school kids and just help them reinforce, what they learn in school and then give them life skills as well.
That's awesome. I would love to interview you on Clubhouse on this.
Sure, sure.
On my DeFi weekly clubhouse, as well as the Dope C and my NFTs, because I think in the future DeFi and NFT could be combined. I think it has already, and just really giving access to people and teaching artists is just really the concepts of what decentralized finance is, so that people are more aware of that. I think that's really important.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, now it's starting to get kind of cool because, and well, I say that because I bought my first NFT a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I've been just more focused on DeFi,
Yeah,
and I kind of got called out by an artist who said, "Hey, buy my work," and I ended up picking up an NFT. But I mean, why don't you talk about some of the cool things when we get to the cross section of DeFi and NFT?
yeah. When you really think about it, NFTs art, right? And you sell them, and when you sell them, it goes into a wallet, right? And so you have a bunch of like crypto or coins, on the in your wallet. So when they're passively in the wallet, what do you do with it? Can you use, can you stake them? So the question is like, can you stake your NFT and earn interest, with them, because they have value. And then the second thing is, can you collateralize your NFT? because they have value. Like for me, one of the insights that I have for some of the DeFi, projects is the whole DeFi market, it's really based on over collateralization, right? Just like the banks, the mortgage companies, buying your house. Like the banks have collateralization, or anything of the stuff that has to do with UCC 9, like I'm not giving legal advice, because if you breach that, they can take away your house. So and blockchain is really based on trust, so that if I lend you something, I'm gonna collateralize things of value that I have. Like, when you go to a club, they take away your driver's license if you don't return something back, that's a collateral. So I think NFT, like if I have like two Bored Apes NFT and they're worth like $1,000, I can use that as a collateral for lending and borrowing money, um, and still kind of have that, and if I have those apes, why can't, and if there's value, why can't I earn interest on them? And if I have an NFT wallet, like on OpenSea, why can't I stake it, right? And you kind of notice that like now currently you can mint things on the platform, but all the stuff that you have, your collections, or if you're a collector, they're dead. You don't do anything, you just look at them. But why can't you earn interest, for having and holding them? So those are some of the things that I think could be, that the industry could be really creative in combining and integrating those two concepts together.
Absolutely. I think that is so cool, and that is an amazing idea. And honestly, you know what? If you're thinking about it, it's got to be right around the corner because you're always 2 steps ahead of the game.
Yeah, I think that, and that's why I think it's kind of important for artists to understand what DeFi is, because like even I was doing a lot of definitions on Clubhouse about staking, about farming, about rug pools, liquidity mining, and these are just all financial terms that even normal people don't understand, right? So
Right.
and it was interesting. It used to be like, we talk forever about those topics. And I think when artists is because I think NFT was the gateway, is a door for people to learn how to use a MetaMask, especially for artists. And then once they're in the door and they learn everything about coins, they look into DAOs, they look into DeFi, and so yeah, so I think it's kind of cool that that we're basically talking about this so that artists could like learn it, and then they could look into some of these DeFi protocol. I think like with Tesos, there's a few platforms that they can stake in with some other coins. There's other solutions as well that they can stake, and so they can earn interest on it, right? Even baby interest, that's better than nothing.
Wow, don't get me started on about DeFi on Tezos because
Crunchy.
what was that?
And then there's a platform called Crunchy that you can stake your Teslas on. But you can also use
Mm.
Coinbase, and you just Coinbase is easy because you just press the stake and then that's it.
Well, yeah, like I said, don't get me started, but and I don't know. That's another story for another day, but I can't thank you enough for being on today's show. And so before we go, once again, I want folks to know about the Dope C. I'm going to put that back up. And is there anything else that you're working on, or you want to mention? I mean, you already talked about Laptop Radio. What about your other show? Can you repeat that on Clubhouse for us too?
Yeah, so the Clubhouse is DeFi. My username on Clubhouse is Laptop Radio, and I have a club. If you go to my profile, called NFTs, and also DeFi Weekly. And you can also find a Dope C there, where I talk to different people about DeFi. and we moderate and invite people in the community, and then we go on and on and on and on and on and on about DeFi. And then my radio show is Laptop Radio. It's just Linktree/Laptop Radio, and I talk a lot about crypto there as well. Actually, I recently interviewed the co-founder of Pixar, as well as a 250 billion fund that focuses on fintech. So those will be out really soon, after I process them. And I am working on a metaverse, one for the Asian American community, because I think this year there were a lot of hate crimes against them, or us. And so I wanted to kind of celebrate Asian American artists, by creating a metaverse. So that's going to be out as well. I think I want it to be designed to a new metaverse. I'm a little bit picky sometimes. And I am also working on a gaming project that is going to be out soon as well. So those are some of the things that I am doing, and and just advising, helping the community, because I think it's kind of important that we communicate, and share ideas, so that we can build something that is right. Because we don't want, like, I fear the results of what 1.0 or 2.0, right? Where we have concentration of power by different companies, that could and governed. I mean, they can basically delete a president if they want, or pull a website down, you know. So I think it's kind of important that we build this thing and kind of think about different aspects of it, so that we can do it right, that becomes more inclusive.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things, obviously, is the cool thing about um just blockchain and crypto and DeFi and NFTs. Like you said, you can really, since it's decentralized, right? We're
Mhm.
not looking at the same players anymore. It's new players, and you can focus on identity. You can focus on community,
Yeah.
and obviously there's the profit that, I don't necessarily want to say profit. I'll say more value, right?
Yeah.
Value is recognized in a much more holistic fashion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so, it's more beneficial to those communities. So I like to hear that, you're working on this project with the Asian American or Asian communities,
Yeah.
and just bringing people together. And then it's obviously an opportunity for, cross-cultural exchange too,
Yeah.
so I applaud you for doing that, and looking forward to hearing more.
Yeah, it's so funny because, like, we had a clubhouse room about that, and different members of the community actually wanted to participate. And we did one, like a metaverse for the African American community, like, earlier this year, that actually went all over the world, because I think you know by putting, I think we had over 30 artists who are African American together. It built
Right.
strength.
Yeah.
It built strength, right? And some of the artists were discovered as a result of that, and some of them had uh, commission opportunities, actually, by famous basketball players, or sports people. So I was really excited about that, because I knew, and I met the curator on Clubhouse, and I wanted to host that for him, and he did it, and it was awesome. So after Asian American Month, there wasn't really a lot done, and because of the hate crime, a bunch of people died. I was just like, okay, seeing parents being afraid of walking in the street, and that there were guards around, it was just really sad. So I was just like, okay, let's get the Asian American artists together, and and be united, right? So that was kind of cool. So yeah, I'll let you know the details. I kind of love that, and I'm gonna really continue to talk about this, on Clubhouse and everywhere. So,
Yeah. Well, I kind of, I don't, part of me is like, don't go there, but we just don't talk enough about the love.
yeah,
We talk about the hate, and hate is hate, but nobody talks enough about the love. So, um
The most interesting thing is when I first, had a clubhouse room, people just came in and like they just participated and they told their friends and everything. And like there's a strong need about it. And people were really sharing the event, retweeting the event. I mean, it was the love. The love was amazing. It was it was amazing. So, I think I have like a few artists, art. I did put it in the metaverse already. I just wanted to change the building. I wanted something like cooler than what I have. Because I'm like, okay, what represents? I want the mood, right? I want the mood of what it means because I think I was making an augmented reality effect for Chinese New Year one year, like, and it probably in 2019 when we couldn't go out, and that effect with the Asian man face, like if you go to an Asian American museum, you'll see that it was barred from, like, it was not allowed, not approved to that platform. I was actually very depressed. Here I am, I was going to the Stanford blockchain conference, and right before that, this, one of the big four companies actually banned the effect. And I was just like, it's kind of like very, they never seen it, they said. And, I have a title, Asian American Men, and they didn't like that. And I was just like, okay, like if you go to an Asian American Museum in San Francisco, you'll see, these little masks that are clay, of these, you know, um, I don't know, representing Asian American art. Yeah, that was banned. And it was not until the Black Lives Movement that some of them were approved. So so it sucks, and I think, why did that happen? And just because they're not familiar with Asian American art, they banned it, and maybe they should be educated on it. And it's really not us and our fault, for not allowing these art that is, that should be allowed as an art form. Because, and then it was so funny because I think, one of mine just says, like, how Asian are you? Are you A, B, C, D, and E? And then the answer is always, I am human. How, like, why couldn't we do that? So I don't know. I'm just pretty excited that it was finally approved because of all the things that happened in 2019.
Well, thanks for sharing that, because honestly, that's one of the stories that your people just don't get a chance to hear. And it's, I think, once again, to a certain extent, um we need to hear that too. It's about the cross-cultural understanding. And
Yeah.
I see a lot of the love, once again, just
Yeah.
wherever, whoever. But
And
we just don't
blockchain,
hear those stories.
yeah, and blockchain is global. It is global. It's teams that are all over the world. And and that's why it's important to me when I was creating those mermaids that we have different skin tones. Skin tones from, like, I have over 210 that I made, and that was really important to me because when we learn how to love and listen and respect each other as human, that's when things will truly change. Because then if we learn how to respect ourselves, we learn how to respect other culture, then we learn how to treat other people and other entity well, and then we learn how to give access, truly ethos of what decentralization and blockchain means, and not exploiting that as a way to be greedy, right? So, and it's that love, that part of sharing, that I think that's like the most important.
I agree. Well, thanks so much again, Michelle, for being on my show this evening. I'll give you a chance one more time if you want to give some shouts out or want to share something with the audience, but I don't want to hold you for too much longer either.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for having me, and thank you for doing what you do, right? And thank you for all the work and effort that you really put in, into the community, and the book that took, forever to write. I think it's just so important.
Yeah, I think you were among one of the few people very early on that I shared that with, and thanks for the encouragement. And
Yeah.
obviously, I consider you a role model in this industry. So,
Oh, thank you.
yet another reason why I wanted to have you on. So, I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, Michelle, and everybody out there. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe.